Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Nilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Bena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Kṛṣṇa Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagadpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, translation and commentary is Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Today's text number 57, second chapter, contents of the Gita summarized. Please repeat. Yaha sarvatrānabhisnehastat tat prāpya śubhāśubham nabhinandati dveṣṭitasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā sarvatrānabhisnehastat tat prāpya śubhāśubham abhinandati dveṣṭi tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā sarvatrānabhisnehastat tat prāpya śubhāśubham abhinandati dveṣṭi tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā
tat prāpya śubhāśubham abhinandati dveṣṭi tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā abhinandati dveṣṭi tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā śubhāśubham abhinandati dveṣṭi tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā prāpya śubhāśubham nābhinandati dveṣṭi tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā
ya sarvatra anabhisnehaḥ tattat prāpya śubhāśubham na abhinandati na dveṣṭi tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā.
Okay. Yaha, one who. Sarvatra, everywhere. Anabhisnehaḥ, without affection. Tat, that. Tat, that. Prāpya, achieving. Śubha, good. Aśubham, evil. Never. Abhinandati, praises. Never. Dveṣṭi, envies. Tasya, his. Prajñā, perfect knowledge. Pratiṣṭhitā, fixed. So, translation Srila Prabhupada. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Please repeat. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Purport Srila Prabhupada. There is always some upheaval in the material world, which may be good or evil, like Ukraine. One who is not agitated by such material upheavals, who is unaffected by good and evil, is to be understood to be fixed in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. As long as one is in the material world, there is always the possibility of good and evil, because this world is full of duality. But one who is fixed in Kṛṣṇa consciousness is not affected by good and evil, because he is simply concerned with Kṛṣṇa, who is all good absolute. Such consciousness in Kṛṣṇa situates one in a perfect transcendental position called technically samādhi. So, short purport. Mukam karoti vācālam pangam laite girim yad kripatamaham bande Shri Guru Ninatarinam sarvatrānabhisnehastat prajñā śubhāśubham abhinandati dveṣṭitasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Yes. So Prabhupada's point is this material world is full of duality. But that duality is our projection. Actually everything is Kṛṣṇa, Vasudeva Savamiti. But in the material consciousness, as is described here in the first part, considering this is good, this is evil, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable, we judge in terms of what is good or bad for myself, my sense enjoyment. This is the third action, right? There is the thinking, that means we are conscious beings. So the soul is conscious. But what is he doing? Thinking, feeling, he's considering, he's interpreting reality. And then sankalp vikalp, he is considering, I accept this or I reject this. And then karma, then he performs activity. Thinking, feeling, willing, then activity. So in the mind, these things are going on. The consciousness The consciousness is extant, existing. Then it is self-aware, because it's not just like a light bulb giving consciousness light in an impersonal way. It's also feeling, just like that light bulb. It's not considering, I like this person, I don't like this person, this is good or bad. The light bulb is impersonal. So the consciousness is there, but it's personal. Within the consciousness, just like if we practice samādhi, as Prabhupada says, that's later described in the Gita, that one should first of all sit down quietly, then one should withdraw one's affection or attention to griha. Griha means the external paraphernalia of this personal body. Right? We all have shirt, pants, some place to sleep, we have paraphernalia, we have a bank balance. So we should withdraw consciousness from that, and then situate within the body. And then from the body we should situate within the mind. And we should observe the mind, which is the container of consciousness, chittam. And then within the mind we should become aware of ourself. That self that we have been ever since we became conscious. When we're a child, we have a certain sense of identity, self. This is the Atma. We are not just a soul, but we have a personal identity. Every single person, at the center of their consciousness, has this sense of, I am me. It is the ego. So then we situate ourself, our attention within me, and this is self-realization. So that is very easily attained under proper tutelage, because we are the me, we are the I, that is us, and we have been experiencing that sense of self from the beginning of this body and from all bodies previously. We have been that me. We may have had this name or this name, this body, this and that, and we've been distracted outwardly, and therefore we have been judging, this is good, this is evil, I like this, I don't like this, in terms of our material attachment, our material attention, because in the material world our attention is going outward. We are looking to increase the griha, the material paraphernalia, the family, the body. We want to perfect the body, we want the mind to be educated. So our attention has gone out there, and for many, many lifetimes, endlessly practically, Nityabhada, the living entity has been transmigrating. Sometimes animal body, plant body, this body, deva, this and that, and he's always being evaluated. He's always being evaluating the external circumstances and interpreting it. Sankalp, vikalp. I'll do this, I won't do this. I like this, I don't like this. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he makes it very plain, of course, all acharyas, that in the material world, this sankalp is on the basis of two things. We want to avoid suffering, so we go to the dentist. We don't want to go to the dentist, but we go to the dentist because we got a pain. We want to avoid, and then we go to the best or the favorite restaurant because we want pleasure. So this is the coordinates of sankalp vikalp. And so the soul, when he's outwardly directed, then he's interpreting everything in terms of what Kṛṣṇa says here, good and evil. But, as we say, the soul, we can withdraw our attention from the external paraphernalia, from the body. We can sit within the consciousness, and then within the consciousness we get the sense of self. So that is the soul. That is you. And Kṛṣṇa has already explained earlier, this soul is indestructible, immutable. It won't change. The soul will not. This is the amazing quality of the soul. The soul is never destroyed, even in the middle of a war or a this or a that. The body is destroyed, the mind may be disturbed, but the soul is indestructible, immutable. That means you will never become another person in that sense. That sense of self, identity that you have, that will remain. Whether you transmigrate to Deva body or, of course, hopefully you're all going back to Godhead. But whatever, and then you will have that in the spiritual world. You won't be a different person, you'll have that same self. But people that transmigrate in the material world, they're the same person in the body of a dolphin, the body of a bird, whatever. It's the same sense of self that is within the consciousness. So this is Brahman realization. This is to realize the eternal nature of the soul. The soul is indestructible, immutable, changeless. Why? Because it is above the material energy. It is above the material energy. And this material energy is always in flux. Now we're in Kali Yuga, right? The age of quarrel and hypocrisy, right? We're seeing quarrel everywhere. You don't have to look very far. People are quarreling uselessly instead of living harmoniously. And they are justifying their actions in a hypocritical way. It's for democracy. It's for the good of the people. No. You're a Rakshasa and you just want to increase your power and control. So, if we understand Gita, we see everything closely. But those people, but the interesting point is, this is the soul is never polluted. It is the consciousness that is polluted. Just like the sun cannot be polluted. We can use it as an example. But you can change the sunlight. Like now it is blustery. It looks like the storm is coming. So the sunlight is affected. And we're seeing differently. At noon it was bright, burning hot. But now, so the consciousness is affected. And it is affected by the subtle energy of the three modes. And this is karma, because karma, material energy, has the subtle effect and gross effect. So we're getting a gross body, and then in the subtle mind, we're getting the effect of the modes. So this is called vipassana, that one should situate oneself in the sense of himself, the soul, and realize, well, now I have this name, but that is not in my soul, in a sense. Because sometimes people say, Prabhupada was asked many times, traveling here and there, why you say Kṛṣṇa, the name of God is Kṛṣṇa? He said, yes, it's true that God has no name. So in one sense, we are not our name. That is a covering, if you like. This is an adoption of the soul. We've had so many names. And we can come to that realization when we withdraw and focus within ourself, Atma. Yes. And so Prabhupada would answer, yes, in one sense it's true that Kṛṣṇa has no name, but he is given name according to his pastimes. Therefore he's Govardhandari, therefore he's Gopinath, therefore he's Kṛṣṇa. He's Brajanandana. We're singing, he's Radha Madhava, lover of Radharani. So we also are given names by our friends and enemies. Some not complimentary. But so in that sense, and actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Harinam Chintamani, as a side issue, he says there's two types of names given to God. There are those given by persons in the material energy. The great, or the creator, the maintainer. And they are given from the persons who are within the material world, but they have some sense of God consciousness, and so they praise God from that position. And then there is another, these are, Bhaktivinoda explained, they are secondary. And then there are the names given by God, by the devotees of God in the spiritual world. And it is the chanting of those names that gives liberation. Because, particularly in Kali Yuga, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, that elevates the consciousness to the spiritual platform, right? Because that has a spiritual element. They are, what is that? Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. They contain the rasa of the Supreme, like Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa, I was just reading in the Gopal Champu, Jiva Goswami explains, Kṛṣṇa means one who is full of bliss. So when we meditate upon the name of Kṛṣṇa, we become absorbed in bliss. We become in touch to some extent. First is purification. Ram, right? We had Ram Nami. Ram means pleasure, spiritual pleasure. So when you meditate on Ram, and when you chant Om, then you fix upon the absolute truth. So this chanting of the name in Kali Yuga is particularly empowered. The whole Hare Krishna Maha Mantra contains Nityananda Shakti, which we know from the Jai Vijay Leela. Nityananda is even more merciful than Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate, but Nityananda is more merciful because he is Guru Shakti. Actually, Jahnavi Devi is Anangamanjari, Guru Shakti. Nityananda is Baladev. So Guru Shakti is more merciful. Prabhupada was once asked, Prabhupada, if I make an offense, what shall I do? He said, well, you can pray to Kṛṣṇa, forgive you. And then if he doesn't forgive you, then you can pray to Radharani and she'll forgive you. And if she doesn't forgive you, you can pray to me and then I'll forgive you. So, Guru is the father of the sadhaka. So the father is always ready to forgive. So of course we shouldn't use that. But we should understand, we try to become offenseless. But we are always going to make mistakes in the period of sadhana. But the point is that yes, at the beginning of this chapter, contents of Gita summarized, Arjuna is in a confused state. Because his attention, like we said, is going outward into the material world. His family, his friends. I don't want to do this. There'll be a bad material reaction. How can I enjoy if we win or lose? So his mind is going out and he's seeing good and evil. Mainly evil, because it's a battle. So we have to withdraw from that point of view. This is what Arjuna is told. And the basis is that we are the soul. So Prabhupada mentions samādhi. We can practice this because, yes, hearing, learning Siddhanta, the philosophy, the Leela is primary importance. And the chanting is particularly empowered. But we can practice smaranam. Like you can chant in the morning, take shower, chant. And then you can practice. I'm not this griha, the material paraphernalia. I'm not the body. I am the consciousness, but I am within the consciousness. But then that is not the complete picture. Because, yes, Arjuna is corrected by Kṛṣṇa. You're thinking in the material world, you're sounding like you're learned, but it's all a load of hot air, Arjuna. Because why? You're a spirit soul. So that we can realize, if we practice samādhi, smaranam, shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam, if we can be attentive. And this is called bhuta shuddhi, purification of the living entity, bhuta. Before, in the period of sadhana, we can practice this. This is particularly in deity worship, that before you perform deity worship, one should control the consciousness and realize, I'm the servant of the Supreme, and I'm doing Shalagram Puja, I'm worshipping the Dwarka Shila, I'm worshipping Giriraj, I'm worshipping the holy name as a spirit soul. And my bhava should be bhakti, pure bhakti. We shouldn't be worshipping for fruitive result. That is the earlier 54, 53. So Kṛṣṇa says earlier, he says, when your mind has come out of the forest of delusion and the flowery words of the Veda, because the Vedas, they propose many karma kanda rituals, but in the Vedas are the Upanishads, and the Upanishads point to upasana. The Vedas has karma kanda, jnana kanda, and upasana kanda. So the Vedas actually have 4 departments, each department. I did a little research. Each Veda, it can be split into 4 sections. One is samhitas, prayers, collections. Then brahmanas. Brahmanas means sacrificial procedures. So some of those are karma kanda, but there's always yagyeshwa, because it's pointing towards Kṛṣṇa. And then how to perform those yagyas, aranyakas. That's the 3rd section in the Vedas. And then the 4th is the Upanishads. So I looked up, I did a little research, and it's from Wikipedia, which may be accurate or not, but it said there are 1,600 Upanishads. So there's that verse, Vishya Veda Nistraygunya Bhavajana Nirvanbo Nityasatvasto Niryoga Shematvadan. That the Vedas mainly deal with the 3 modes of material nature, Arjuna, but rise above the modes and be established in the self. So it is not enough just to think I'm spirit soul. What is the function? Just like this is a glass, but what is the function of the glass? This is a microphone, but what is the function of the microphone? So the microphone is fulfilled by its function. The glass is fulfilled by containing water. The light bulb is fulfilled by giving light. It's not just a light bulb, but it has a function. So the light bulb should be plugged in properly, and then it will function. A glass without water, it's just sitting there. A microphone without a speaker is not performing the function. So the soul is fulfilled in its function. We're not just, this is a good start to understand I'm the soul. Okay, I'm that being within the consciousness, within the mind, within the body, within the material paraphernalia. Very good. And it is called vipassana. Vipassana means that you just sit within the sense of being that is you, and you observe the mind. You don't necessarily try to control it, but you watch it as an observer. And this helps to fix you in the conception of the self. But what is the function of the self? So the Mayavadi or impersonalistic idea is that our function is just to be. Soul is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, but the impersonal function stresses the Sat aspect, that I am just existing, and now I'm going to merge into the vast pool of consciousness, and then I shall be that vast pool. I shall be all that has ever been. Well, yes, but you become bored there because that's not your function. You are Sat Chit. Chit means that quality we were talking about. You're self-aware. You're going to become bored. Just like if you sit in a bright room, it's very boring. You want to interact. You want to use your Chit function. You want to assess. You want to discuss. Why? The purpose is Ananda. We're searching. In the material world, we're searching to avoid unhappiness or displeasure, and we want to increase pleasure. This is the assessment of the Ananda function of the soul. And who is doing the assessment? Vigraha, the personality. So, in the materially conditioned state, our consciousness is going out into this external world, like we said before, and assessing what is suitable, what is not suitable. But in the liberated state, Seva-bhav is there. That is the perfection of the soul. That is the function of the soul. What is that verse? Prabhupada. Yes, say again loudly. Yeah, Jivera Swarup Hoy Nityera Kṛṣṇa Das. So that is the Swarup, the own form, the essence of the soul. The soul is just not existing, but it has a function. And that function bathes him in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in the ocean of rasa. Just like Namada Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. And that's also in the here, right? Raso Vajam Raso Pyasya. When you get that taste, but that taste is by Seva-bhav. Vipralamba Seva-bhav. That we should consider, oh Kṛṣṇa, I fall it like this verse. What is that verse? Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitanam avnebhyo. Wait, I slipped one line there. Speak loudly. Yeah. No. Yes. Oh, son of Nanda Maharaj. It's very insignificant. You're the son of Nanda Maharaj. So that's to touch the heart of Kṛṣṇa. Because every son loves their father. So I'm addressing you as the son of Nanda Maharaj, whom you love. So I've fallen in this material world. Now you please pick me up. Please give me your Yogamaya. I'm plugged in. I'm a light bulb, but I'm not plugged into the power station. I'm plugged into the battery. And that battery is giving a little light. We're always plugged into Kṛṣṇa, but we're not plugged into the power station. We're plugged into the Maya Shakti, not the Chit Shakti. We're plugged into this illusion of good and evil. We're not plugged into the absolute. We're not, and we're in this mixed condition, good and bad, but in that absolute, it is all nectar. And some people find that hard. Some people will say, how can you enjoy unless you suffer? Where's the logic there? Before you go out for a good time, do you drop a brick on your foot? So you will enjoy the football match? No, suffering is not necessary to appreciate happiness. In fact, it mixes the whole thing. You're watching the football match, but your foot is, I broke my foot. I can't cheer anymore. So this material is illusion. This is the confused state of the living entity. But if we plug into the spiritual platform, then we become in anandam buddhivādanam, pratipodam punas vādanam. Right? It is ever increasing bliss. And this is what Jamunacharya says, right? Whenever I think of material sensuality, so the sign of the materially situated person, this is given here. And it is in stark contrast to what Arjuna was feeling earlier. He was confused, unhappy. But here we see that he's firmly fixed in knowledge. He's above the modes. He's situated. And so, but that is attainable by seva bhav. That is the root. The problem is, just like we are tatastha shakti, just like this book has a line down the middle. So on this side we're serving ourself. That is the material world. We're serving our senses. We're serving our mental conceptions of philosophies we've absorbed. Whether it's communism, capitalism, globalism, this, we have philosophies. And then we have bodily yes and no's. But this side is self-service. But this side is service to the Supreme. This side is servant of the senses. This side is servant of the Supreme. This side is selfishness. This is selflessness. Jivara swarupa nichera Kṛṣṇa. So this quality of the spiritual platform can be contemplated from this position of samādhi. And we can then, when we withdraw from the distractions, like we say, of the material paraphernalia, the body, the mental concoctions, we're situated in the soul, then we can realize seva bhav. And we go to the root of ourself. And that is the meaning of the Hare Krishna mantra. It means, O Kṛṣṇa, O Radha, engage me in your service. So it should be chanted with that feeling. Prabhupada, one lecture, he talks about parrot chanting. Of course there's some benefit there. Just like sometimes in Loy Bazaar they're selling these little boxes, right? And Prabhupada chanting, but the box doesn't feel any bliss. You may when you hear, but the box is just reciting the mantra. So we shouldn't be like one of those plastic boxes. How much do they cost? 500 rupees? Something like that. So we should chant with that bhava. We should find the self. Kṛṣṇa explains later that the demon, pravittim cha, nivrittim cha, they don't know what is to be done, what is not to be done. They are lost to themselves. Their attention is so much in the external that they've lost consciousness of the soul. But the bhakta, the sadhaka, finds his soul, and then he develops, he conjures up, he decides ultimately, I shall serve the Supreme. And how is that done? Mahatsevam dwaram aho vimuktes. In the teachings of Lord Rishabdev, 5th canto, says the Mahatma is the doorway of liberation. Service to the Mahatma. So yes, in the period of sadhana, we should serve the Mahatma. That is throughout the Vedas. Tadvidi pratipātena pariprashnena sevaya. Upadekshyanti. Worship the instructions of the Guru, the bona fide Guru. Take his, there's that Namanta Eva in the 10th canto, that you should hear the Bhagavatam and offer your obeisances to that message. You should, so yes, we are jivara swarupa or nichera Kṛṣṇa das. But we become established in that by mercy of Guru. Vedas, Acharyas, 6 Goswamis, Madhavendra Puri, bona fide Guru. We render service to them. And how do we render service? By inculcating, by following their instructions. That is service to Guru. By following, just like you learning the piano, you serve your piano teacher by practicing in accordance with his instructions. Then you learn the piano. So that is Guru. Brahmananda, what is that verse? Brahmanda Pramite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Kṛṣṇa Prasadi by Bhakti Latabij. Right? From Guru. And then Yasha, we sing every day, Yasha Prasada, Bhagavat Prasado, Yasha Prasada, Nakati Katobi. Nakati Katobi. Very strong. Without Guru's mercy, Nakati Katobi. But Guru is always there. He's the most merciful. He's the extension of the mercy of even Lord Chaitanya. So, when we endeavor to serve Guru, then we get the blessing of Guru. And then we realize our function. And then we become absorbed in Seva Bhav. And Vipralamba Seva Bhav. We should cultivate this feeling of, I am in the material world, but I'm fallen down. This is the problem with the Sahajiya Bhav. They think that just by mental concoction, I'm in the Ras Leela. And Krishna's tugging my cloth. But no, we have to go with humility, right? Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru. We have to approach with humility. Krishna, when he says mam namaskaru, he's giving a secret. It's not that he wants everyone to bow down and everything, and he should be worshipped like Ravana. No, he's giving that to his devotees. He's saying, this is the way you will touch my heart. So worship of the Acharya, the Guru, the Sadhu, that brings the blessing of Kṛṣṇa. So this is how we can become fixed. And this is what's given here. This is the contents of the Gita summarized, which is the summary of all the Upanishads. And so this is actually, this chapter alone is the summary of all the Vedic knowledge. It's amazing. 53 verses or more, something, 60 something. So we can study this chapter and see this progression. First Arjuna is confused. He's in the material world. Then he's the spirit soul. Then Varnashram is given as a function and a sense of duty. But then Kṛṣṇa moves him on from Vaidhi Bhakti, Varnashram. Now you've got to practice Bhakti. And then Arjuna says, how will I know who to serve? I'm supposed to serve the Guru, Mahatma, and then Kṛṣṇa is giving the description of the Mahatma. You should find this person who is so fixed in Brahman that he is transcendental to the good and bad assessments of the material world. And so that's in the Manduka Upanishad. Just 2 words when it's discussed. Who is that sadhu? Of course, Kṛṣṇa is explaining in a big way here, but it's summarized, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtakyam. Shrotriyam means he knows the Vedas, he knows the conclusion of the Vedas. He's learned the Vedas, he knows Siddhanta, he knows the Dashamula. And Brahmanishtakyam. So having acquired Siddhanta, he has performed bhajan, and then he has become Brahmanishta. You see? First we learn Siddhanta. That gives liberation. And then from the liberated platform, we perform Shuddha Bhakti without material motivation. Then we realize Kṛṣṇa and then we realize ourselves in relationship to Kṛṣṇa, and then we become Brahmanishta. So Shrotriyam Brahmanishtakyam. So that is everyone's birthright, right? Everybody is made for that. Success in that endeavor is not dependent on any material circumstance. It is mercy only. It is the mercy of Kṛṣṇa coming through the acharyas, the gurus, the sadhus. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. So, at this point we'll open the floor for comments or questions. Yes, go ahead.
In the beginning you said, you mentioned about Jaya Vijaya, you mentioned Ukraine, you mentioned power and control. So it's also said that terror originally started with Hiranyakashipu. And
Sorry?
terror on this planet originally started with Hiranyakashipu.
Well, did I say that?
No, not you. Other people say.
Hiranyakashipu. No, but Hiranyakashipu, that was which yuga was that? Terror starts as soon as the material world is constructed.
Yeah. So,
you know the universal form. When Arjuna sees the universal form, he sees what this material world is. But in the 10th canto, we see the Ras Leela. So in the material world, people are reciprocating with Kṛṣṇa or Vishnu or Karma in the Virat Rupa. And that is terrifying, right? Arjuna is shocked. But in the spiritual world, people are reciprocating with Kṛṣṇa in the Ras Leela. So that's very nectarine.
So, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha appear on this planet. Since you mentioned Jaya and Vijaya, earlier they were Jaya and Vijaya. And so they were sent by Lord Vishnu himself. Now when they appeared here, Bhagavatam states that they did three things. They, brahmanas, cows and trees.
They what?
They tormented.
Yes. They don't like, the Rakshasas don't like the Brahmanas.
Yeah. So
They can't reach Kṛṣṇa, so they attack the representatives of Kṛṣṇa.
yes.
And they want to reverse the creation of Kṛṣṇa. So they want to make good into bad. You know, this is one of the statements of Hiranyaksha. Impious activities will give benefit. Pious activity, you know, that is the whole thing. Therefore, you know, especially now they have this LGBT, everything should be topsy-turvy. There shouldn't be a man and a woman happy together having children. No, the man must worship, serve the state, and the children belong to the state. They want to reverse everything. That is the Rakshasa. And you see, that is particularly manifested in Marxism. You know, no private property, nothing belongs to you. Even this Rakshasa, he says that in future you will own nothing, right, and be happy. How? By taking Valium all day or something. They always fail. Why? I'm sorry to interrupt your question, but why? Because the material soul, you see, Marx or one of those demons was once asked, what is communism in essence? And he said, no private property. That's what he said. That's the essence of the communist Marxist idea. But what's the essence of the conditioned soul? Aham mameti. These things are mine. So what you're creating a political system that goes against every conditioned soul's conditioning. So it will always fail because even the conditioned souls will reject it. I have to think this is my wife, my children, my house. And then I'm inspired. Possession turns sand to gold. If I think it belongs to the state or some demon Rakshasa who's living with billions of dollars, am I inspired to serve? Huh? No, so the communist idea. So the Vedic idea is there that everyone has their own situation, their own gunas, their own behavior, and within that they should perform bhajan.
So the fact that Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu did these three things, and they were sent by Lord Vishnu, how do we understand that vis-a-vis Do Brahmana Hitaracha and Parikļāna Sadhana, because these two seem very contradictory?
Well, that's interesting. So that's in the commentary of, Putana, that Putana, she was a Rakshasi. She killed many children. But it's explained it was in the karma of those children. Just like Kamsa, he killed the 6 children. So Kamsa in his previous life was Kalamani, and he had these children, or he fought with them, and then they were born again as the children of Vasudeva and Devaki, and he killed them then. So you can't remove the previous karma. It may not be immediately apparent, it may, but for instance, there's Brahma Rakshasas, right? Ravana was Brahma Rakshasa. Ravana, he wrote a commentary on the Vedas. Did you know that? But when they write a commentary on the Vedas, the Rakshasas, the Vedas are what? Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha. They don't bother with Moksha because the Rakshasas want to control the material world, right? There are many religions, concocted religions, and they say that some Messiah will come and will rule this world. So there's many demoniac people in the dress of sadhus, particularly in Kali Yuga. And they adopt being a sadhu or a guru as a profession, as a career option, as a means to gain wealth and position, dhanam, janam, followers, and then they fall into sex life, right? Well, there's a number, they're always occurring in recent Indian sadhus, right? They throw them in Tihar jail or something. So that is a fact. Usually they are impersonalist. You see, if you become impersonalist, if you stick to Brahman as the absolute, then you will lose all sense of morality. You understand? You'll start to, once you become intoxicated thinking, I'm the supreme consciousness, and then I can do anything. I'm liberated from karma. So then you will become completely immoral and fallen. So those persons that were, troubled by Ravana and Hiranyaksha, there is some karma phal involved. For example, Prahlad, however, he couldn't touch. He was pure devotee. He would just perform smaranam. Nothing could happen to him. So, to become a real Brahmana, a real Vaishnava, it's more than just the dress or the designation. There are many, many people, even in the history of our society, who've turned out to be completely abhorrent persons. But Kṛṣṇa, yes, 3 functions in the material world. Paritranaya sadhanam, but vanashaya to duskritam, the duskritina. Duskritina means the miscreant who's not surrendered. and to establish Dharma. So we can see in that way. And also, the Rakshasas, if they try to commit offense against pure devotees, that is the finish. That's how they become finished. Because Kṛṣṇa will tolerate many things, but he'll not tolerate Vaishnava aparad. You see. So there's many instances. Just like Draupadi. Some commentators, some acharyas said, the central key of the Mahabharata is when Draupadi, they try to offend Draupadi. Duryodhana, you know, the Sakuni, the test match. And Draupadi was a great devotee. But by trying, so you may say, why was Draupadi troubled? Why was Queen Kunti troubled? Why were the Pandavas troubled? So that is their destruction. When Duryodhana tried to insult Draupadi, that was his destruction. He was finished. He could not recover from that. So there's Draupadi, all these big Kshatriyas. Draupadi, she's a beautiful lady. Not a Kshatriya. She doesn't know weapons, but she finished Duryodhana. That was his. Even the Romans had a saying: "Whom the gods will destroy, they first make mad." Pride comes before a fall, right? So pride, the idea that you can destroy devotees, you can act against the Supreme Lord, you can reverse His creation, that is your death knell. Right? In Shakespeare, I think, for whom the bell tolls, the grim reaper. You know these archetypes? For whom the bell tolls. So the demons can run around bashing each other up, but if they start to make trouble for devotees, that's their finish. But they have to be devotees. And the root of devotion is that seva bhava. You understand? So Putana, she was killing people that didn't have seva bhava. Same thing with Hiranyakashipu. Because the seva bhava is the entrance to the spiritual world. And the self-service is the entrance, selfishness is the entrance to the material world. So we should understand, Prabhupada said, my disciples are very nice, but they have one problem. They don't fear Maya. Right? That's a famous quote from Prabhupada. Right? I know that when we were back in the day, we would do anything for Prabhupada, you know, and we think Maya can't touch us. But Maya can touch you if you're not careful. Therefore, sadhana is very important. Regulated bhakti. Then we're safe. Plus, this body is finished one day anyway. So if you have seva bhava, if you love Kṛṣṇa, you're going to Kṛṣṇa, right? You only die once per body, but you will die, at least in terms of the body. So understanding that we should be a little fearful of Maya, you know. There are prayers like that by the acharyas, this material world. Just like Arjuna, right? He saw the material world. He became fearful. The Virat Rupa. My God. And then Kṛṣṇa said, Kalosmi aham. Time I am, destroyer of all worlds. Right? We had the British Empire, we had the Mughals, we had Alexander the Great, we had the Romans. Now we've got the Rothschilds, the central bankers. But time I am, destroyer. And Oppenheimer, he was a philosophical man. You know, they made the nuclear bomb. When he exploded it, he quoted the Gita. I am time, destroyer of worlds. So, ultimately, Ravana, Hiranyakashi, these little demons they have now, they're nothing. But Ravana, once his time was up, and Kṛṣṇa established Yudhisthira. So Kṛṣṇa was in favor of depopulation. He killed all those demons, but he depopulates the world of the demons, right? Lord Brahma, the Devatas went to Lord Brahma and said, you know, this Bhumandala, look at the demons all over the place. Huh? Kṛṣṇa said, Lord Brahma said, I'll go and see Vishnu, come on. So that, yes, I'm going to come, I'm going to sort it all out. So devotee takes shelter of that, you understand? Devotee knows that Kṛṣṇa is protecting me. What's that verse? Lord Chaitanya used to sing it. Kṛṣṇa, 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 Hare Kṛṣṇa. Rama Rakshava, Rama Rakshava. Sing it loudly, bravely.
Kṛṣṇa, 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 Hare. Example lines.
Rama Rakshava.
Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava Rakshana. Rama Raghava, Kṛṣṇa Keshava, Kṛṣṇa Keshava, Kṛṣṇa Keshava Pātimā.
Yeah, so we should all learn that because the world is in a disturbed state, right? We can chant it, right? It is, and that's Lord Chaitanya. He's the Acharya for Kali Yuga. He used to chant that as he walked along. I'm going to get the books out and freshen up my recall on that. Any other statements, question?
Doesn't that in one sense justify cow slaughter, tree cutting, torment of the Brahmanas? People will say the Lord himself, in Bhagavatam it says that the Lord, it's my express desire that you go down. So but once these two came down, these are the three things that they did primarily amongst the others. So when the Lord himself is sanctioning this, then how does one understand these things are going on now? So it's perfectly justified. So why he says...
Well, that's why we should chant. You see, the incarnation, Kali Yuga, is the holy name. Kali Yuga avatar, Kṛṣṇa Nam. Prabhupada went to Tompkins Square Park. Previously it was Kurukshetra, where the battle is. But everyone should think, I'm on Tompkins Square Park. This is how, right? Every devotee can chant in his house. He can gather together friends and they can make Tompkins Square Park in their house. Right? This is how we fight the evil, and this is how we go back to Godhead.
Like I have been experiencing.
We should just a minute. We should organize a 1,000,000-man kirtan. Right? Anyway, go ahead.
See, I was experiencing this for 1 month that sometimes the seriousness is there, sometimes seriousness is not there. Whenever we are hearing classes, then we are serious. We want to devote ourselves. What is this that makes us serious, and what is that just takes that seriousness away, and we are like dwindling a pendulum again on that stage, either down then up, either down.
What makes it? Well, because we're not fixed. But through sadhana, regulated activity, I'm sure you've seen yourself become more fixed through your chanting. So you should keep an optimistic view. Yes, my mind will go here and there, but we should be very careful to find good association. Sadhu sangha, sāva sastra hoy, lavamata sadhu sangha, sāva siddhi hoy. So, if we feel that my mind is going here and there, then we should reach for the Bhagavatam, read the Acharyas, read the Shastra. We should be fighting, right? Like Kurukshetra, like Prabhupada in Tompkins Square Park, right? We have to make that decision. We have to be spiritual warrior, right? And not become servant of the mind. And we can remember, like I say, oh, I'm doing better than before. I know the scripture a bit more, I know Siddhanta a bit more. I'm making progress. We should feel optimistic. But we should know what our astra is. Our astra is sadhu sangha, murti, darshan, shastra, acharya's commentary, right? If we let things go round in the head, that's not good, right? So we should feed the soul with good association. And the association is in the book, right? And the association is here, right? Sankirtan movement. San means together. In other ages, Vedavyas may have meditated in a cave up in Badrinath, but that's not so advisable because of the mind. But we should always be positive. I will succeed. Right? There's that woman, was that the wife of Atri Muni? She stopped the sun. Huh? What was her name? She was so chaste servant of her rishi husband. She stopped the movement of the sun. Huh? Yeah. And also Dhruva, what's her name? Ahalya. And also Dhruva Maharaj is explained. Dhruva means fixed. Dhru, fixed. His determination was so strong, he was performing such austerity, that the Devatas appealed to Vishnu, please go and see him. He's disturbing the balance of the universal elements. Because his strength of fixation. So you can remember Dhruva Maharaj next time and say, I'm going to shake the universe of my mind. Leave the external one to Kṛṣṇa. I'm not going to be distracted. Right? Right? We should ask for one disciple, the mind. Right? If we can make the mind a disciple, then the whole universe follows. Right? The consciousness. Huh? Isn't it? That's why we should get hold of the sense of self. I am the self. I am the being within consciousness. And I make decisions. not the senses, not the body. And I decide to serve Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Right? And so that's your decision, you see. You have everything. You have Mahamantra. We have all these wonderful books of Acharyas, 6 Goswamis. We have Vrindavan Dham. We have Prasad. We have Sadhu Sangha. But do we have Dhruva? Right?
Take charge.
Huh?
Take charge. Take charge of your.
Yeah, take charge.
Get rid of this bus.
Huh?
Get rid of this bus.
Huh?
Get rid of this bus.
Strong determination.
Determination, sankalp. Right? And then you can shake the universe. Look what Prabhupada did. Look what Prabhupada did. It's amazing. He had 40 rupees, a box of Bhagavatams. He went to America and look what he did. And he did write that sometimes I used to go to the port and look at the return to Vrindavan or Indian schedule of the boats. But he stuck. He was determined. So we have to supply that. Do you understand? We have to supply that. Kṛṣṇa has given us that free will. We're free to will what we want.
For that also, do we not need the blessings, or that is the will from the first day we have a choice? I mean, for that also one does needs, bundle of blessings, or for that one is having a choice from the very, very first day. Like we said, piety brings piety. So,
yes, good association is there. It can inspire us to make choice. Therefore, that verse is there. Brahmanda Brahmate Kona Bhagyavanji Guru Kṛṣṇa. By the sadhu, you become inspired. But you have to build upon that.
Means the person can only inspire, then it's our decisions.
Huh? Well, it's there naturally. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadakabanai Shravanadi Sudha Chitte Karide Udai. So, as if you've woken up the soul a little bit, it will continue. That's in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, right? A devotee, immature, may sometimes go up and down, but he doesn't go in the material world like an ordinary materialist. He always remembers the nectar, the little bhava that he had, you see, and that pulls him back.
So how do you maintain the balance? How do you maintain the balance between the material world and the self-service versus...
Well, the balance, you mean we have material duties. Well, we should perform, that is there. We should, madhyaji, madhyaji means that we have material duties to family, we have an occupation, we have children, we have a position in society. So we should perform them expertly as an offering to Kṛṣṇa. That is the meaning of madhyaji. Manmana bhava madbhakto, madhyaji. Yaji means yagya. So we perform our duties as an offering. Just like you get up in the morning, you can say, oh, I'm having a bath. But I'm having a bath as a yagya to Kṛṣṇa. I'm a doctor, I'm taking care of my patients nicely, as best I can, as a yagya, offering to Kṛṣṇa. You understand? So the mentality is seva bhav, you see. So we don't withdraw from society, especially at an immature stage. Huh? We perform all our duties with a feeling of offering to Kṛṣṇa. And then it becomes very inspiring. And that is the format for a wonderful material society. Huh? Isn't it not? If the politicians were always doing things for the benefit of the people. That's Ram Raj, right? That's Yudhisthira. If the doctors were looking after their patients, if the people cleaning the street were doing it expertly, if the businessman was giving a fair price and developing the land, that as an offering. You see? Because these man-made religions have God and the devil, and they associate the material world with the devil. Oh, sex is the devil. God was born from a virgin. It implies that, but Kṛṣṇa says no. I am a sex life according to religious principles. It's there in the Gita. So, the roots of material life, everything can be transformed into Kṛṣṇa consciousness, because this material world isn't the devil, it's the secondary energy of Kṛṣṇa. So it can be used in his service. Well, you get an apple, then you offer it to Kṛṣṇa. It's material apple, right? It becomes spiritualized. So your life becomes, everyone's life becomes spiritualized by this seva bhav, performing all the activities, but at the same time we should read the Bhagavatam, we should chant the name, we should perform sadhana, and then we'll get intuition, we'll realize Kṛṣṇa. Okay, so we'll finish at this point. Thank you all very much. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.